everybody to another episode of the Cyber Queens. We're going to find out together if the intro is going to work. Well, I certainly hope that worked for all of you. Sounded great for us. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 13 of the Cyber Queens. First episode live with all of the hosts and our new host. So getting right into it, we are your Cyber Queens. Meryl, resident red teamer and offensive security expert. We also have with us today Erica.
I'm your technical sales rep.
Erica Eakins.
Erica Eakins. Sorry.
And our brand new host joining us on a permanent basis because we loved her episode so much. We also have Miss Amber DeVilbiss. Amber.
Hello, everyone.
Amber, please tell us once again what it is you do in the cyberverse.
Oh man, I do so many things. No, I'm kidding. I am a solutions architect and I work at Guidepoint Security. And I wrote a book and I also run a nonprofit. So there's that.
Yes, she does run a nonprofit. We're going to be plugging those things here at the end because we've got some exciting collabs coming out this year. But getting right into the spicy topic of the day, because dang, is it spicy. We are seeing a lot of layoffs in tech just about everywhere. There's been massive layoffs left and right. We all know people getting laid off. Meta's had layoffs. Google's had layoffs. Microsoft has had layoffs. And it looks kind of scary out there right now. It's scary for all of our friends and our colleagues. It's scary for the people who just got degrees in this field. Now they're looking to break into this industry. So we are here to address a little bit of that, kind of tell you what it's really like, why these layoffs are happening, why you're seeing them all at once in like Q1. And then we're going to bump it on over to Erica, who just went through this herself. And we're going to talk about realistic hiring strategies, expectations, how to qualify roles in companies. So getting right into it. I mean, everybody put up your hand if you know someone who was laid off like this last month. Yep. Everybody. What are you guys seeing demographics wise? What roles? What numbers? What have you guys experienced?
It's everything from sales to technical. I just seen a lady on LinkedIn the other day. She got laid off while she was on maternity leave. And she was with a company for 9.5 years and she just found out because she tried to log in. So it's everything.
Remember that video back in the day of, did I just get fired? There's all those like signs, like everyone's like waking up like, wait a second, why can't I get into anything?
I tell you, every time I can't get into Jira, I'm like, is this your way of telling me I got fired and I didn't notice?
Right.
No, it's just Jira. I'm seeing a lot of different sentiments. You know, I'm seeing people who were laid off with humanity, people who were just like Amber said, or Erica said, 20 to 17, 20-year tenure who just got an email access revoked.
Yep. That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's talent acquisition and it is technical. Like I said, it's sales, it's operations, it's everything. And it looks really, really scary for people who are trying to come into this industry right now. But I do believe my personal opinion of this is that it's the 2008 real estate crash of tech. We have a lot of fluff. And I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation and a lot going forward. You know, companies are going to start acquiring each other because as most people in tech already know that there's like 12 companies that do one thing. So I think we'll see a lot of consolidation, but that's just a thought, you know, that's not a prediction or anything like that. But we still have positions open, which is what's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We have someone here in the comments who says, looks like recruiters and talent sourcers were hit really hard. And that's accurate because during those periods of extreme growth where they'd had to onboard a ton of people, you know, they had to mass up on the talent acquisition. So naturally, when you don't need to hire, the people who do all the hiring do generally get hit first and go first. What's been so unique for me this go round is that usually we do see people in more of the soft skill positions, more customer service, more talent acquisition, HR. But this time we're seeing the engineers, the offensive engineers, the architects, the technical managers, which for this layoff round, I feel like has been really unique. And I actually looked it up according to crunchbase.com, and we'll link this article for everybody after. 46,000 employees just since the start of the new year, not even including like the 100 some odd thousand last year.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So Erica, as someone who was laid off, how was the layoff and tech experience for you?
So I was laid off in the first week of December, and my employer did it the right way. They, scheduled a meeting. It was my boss and HR, or my, previous boss and HR at the time, and they went through everything. And I had a really good experience opposed to like what I'm seeing. There was like I said, a lady that was on maternity leave, and she was with her company for 9.5 years, and she had her baby, and she tried to like log on, and she was laid off. So, they, gave me severance. I was offered insurance, and it was really scary and really crappy because at the same time, because it was right before Christmas. But I feel that I was treated a lot better. I'm in sales, and salespeople can go, can be some of the first people to go as well. But in the company that I was in, it was management, executive level, sales, talent acquisition. So it was a reduction overall. It was very strategically done because, they're a startup and obviously they have goals to meet, right? I was fortunate enough to only be unemployed for a month and a half. I did just start a new employer last week. I'm now with Sentinel One as a enterprise account executive.
Ow! Shout out Sentinel One.
Yep. Sentinel One. I love you guys. My new team is amazing. We are growing as a company, and they're doing it organically. And I just think it was a better experience for me than most people. So I'm really, really grateful for that.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. I love that for you. And our hearts do go out to all those people who were very unceremoniously and inhumanely laid off. Quite frankly, I have a lot of shade for certain Microsoft execs because they're such a big org. But the CEO was really praised for the way in which he did make a statement. He did come out. He did have some humanity about him. So just a little note off to all those of you tech companies and managers who might be looking at laying off a significant amount of your workforce. Please just do it with a little bit of humanity and understanding. Like if it was you, think about if it was you. So C-levels aren't safe either, by the way. We've seen them get laid off.
Right.
So that's a great segue. So considering we are asking people to come into this industry and we are saying there are still jobs to be had, personally, my company, I think I just yesterday posted 4 positions that we have open. Right. And everyone's like really scared to apply. And everyone's like, we don't know, like you're a small startup, like, will you be here tomorrow? Right. So let's talk about what positions did you look for with what orgs, or in the past when you guys have been looking, or if this has happened to you, or what you've seen. How do we go about getting hired, and how do we go about keeping our spirits up?
So I'm going to speak on this because I just went through this. Literally, I treated it like my job. As soon as I got the information that I was laid off, I filed for unemployment, number 1. Number 2, I literally was at my computer from 8 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. I was reaching out to my network in LinkedIn. I used LinkedIn a lot to apply for jobs, and LinkedIn, they did help me get the job at Sentinel One. That's where I found it. So LinkedIn is an amazing tool. Do not be scared that, I'm going to apply on LinkedIn and it's just going to kick me out because I don't have the right, phrase words. And that some of that is going to happen, but the companies that are hiring, they are looking to hire, and you're fighting some of the best talent out there. Like I was really concerned because some top performers in my region, they were also looking. So I had to think of it strategically. And I actually treated it like I was working, my 8 to 5 or whatever. And I just lined up interview after interview. And I cannot tell you how many interviews I went through. I cannot tell you how many rejections I went through. But some of the strategies that I did, I think really, really helped me. When I interviewed, I treated it as like I was going on a customer meeting. I was interviewing them, which they always say to do, but I asked a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions that, people would not normally ask about growth and, what's coming up this year, and just stuff that you're scared to ask in the, beginning of the interview, because I didn't want to get 7 interviews in and then realize that this is not an organization that I wanted to be with. I want to give a huge shout out to my LinkedIn network. I got so much support when I posted that I was open to work. You guys are amazing because people were sending me over to recruiters. People were sending me over to hiring managers. They were forwarding me jobs. Recruiters were contacting me. I cannot stress to you enough that LinkedIn should be one of the tools that you're utilizing. Phone a friend, get somebody to help you. Go meet with people in person. I was doing coffee. I was doing lunches. I don't have time to be unemployed. I'm a single mother. I'm the only income. It sucked right before Christmas, but you literally have to approach it in a different manner. When Sentinel One hired me, my boss gave me a compliment that I'll carry this with me for a while, because I'm typically very aggressive in the interview process, but I kind of took a step back. And
Erica's just aggressive in general. Just
yes, I'm aggressive in general. And I kind of just took a step back and I relaxed, and I was just asking all the questions I would probe a customer with, and talked about how I do things. And my boss said one of the reasons I was selected was that I was aggressive, but I wasn't overly aggressive to the point where it felt forced. He said it was
abrasive. You can be assertive without being abrasive.
That's the word he actually used. It wasn't abrasive. And amongst other things that I have in my background, like my background is awesome. I must say that was a huge part of it as well. But he said the way that it was approached, it was just some of the, it was refreshing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably say, so here's what's interesting, right? In the wee hours of the morning when I can't sleep, I sometimes I'll scroll through, TikTok or whatever. And I've been seeing a lot more of this like chat GPT stuff lately. And here's what's interesting about this. So there are some folks that they showed where there was a guy who was able to create a chatbot, no coding experience whatsoever. I mean, I kind of, set up my own account and started using this yesterday to play around and see really what this is. But this guy actually used that tool to apply to 100 jobs in 3 hours, right? So it's a chatbot that'll go through and it'll adjust and change your cover letter, your resume, whatever. So there's options out there. We'll probably have to link this later at a different episode. Sorry for that.
Sounds like we're going to get into that in another episode. Absolutely.
Right. But I would also say, I mean, LinkedIn, I've always been a social media person, and LinkedIn is quite honestly probably the only and most beneficial social media tool that I have or use. And simply because, I mean, I use this all the time, right? I was in sales and I did all this other stuff. I'm a solutions architect now, but that's still on the sales side. So if I need to get a warm intro, if I need anybody at all, it's kind of like having, your phone and being able to, phone a friend or whatever, but then also being able to see their phone book, right? Like, who do you know? Who can you possibly introduce me to? And honestly, I say this all the time, right? College experience, whatever. There's so many ways to get into this industry. And the best part about the best part about this whole thing, if there is a good part, is that you're able to now go from one company that maybe you would have stayed with forever, and just as many layoffs as there are also that many openings. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a chance for people to kind of like freshen up and change around and maybe get new experience at places that you wouldn't have before. And I think utilizing LinkedIn is going to be the quickest way to get you there, because I don't think I've applied to a job in like probably 7 years. It's usually all done through my network, right? So thank you to my LinkedIn network. You guys are amazing, obviously. But no, I don't know. I think it's a good way to stay in touch with people, right? And that it's always good to be, I don't know how to word this without it sounding bad. It's always good to have a plan B just in case, right? Especially in this day and age. So even if you are employed and, whatever else, don't just like, I know some of my friends who are like, you know what, I'm going to just send this hate mail back to recruiters because I'm so sick of them reaching out to me. I'm like, you never know when you might need them, right? So like, stay in touch and, just keep in the know, like use your LinkedIn, even if you're not a poster and you don't like to put your life out there or whatever, just use it to maintain relationships and friendships, right? If anything else. Yeah. So if for some reason you are unfortunately laid off or let go, that you have something else that maybe, even if it's not something you can jump to right away, you've at least kind of started that process a little bit.
And I can't echo that enough. We three are on the social media train. We are all big believers in that whole personal branding, networking yourselves approach to things. It's not the only approach. It doesn't work for everybody. I had a mentee who was very much like not a social media person. I was like, can I train you to be? She's like, no. I'm like, then okay. My way isn't the only way. It's just the way that I know the best and that I can help replicate the best. But there are more traditional ways. There are internal brands you can rely on, stuff like that. But we are all obviously big fans of this. And like, I will say it till the cows come home. I'll repost the personal branding episode because your personal brand can save you. It is working for you when you're not in the room. And I always tell people the time to start getting your network off the ground is not when you need it. It's well before you need it. So like, I have never been in a position where I've been laid off. God, please don't do it to me now.
I know, right?
But
I'm
if
like,
I was,
as I
don't
say
let
this.
me. I love you, Mascaroni Sasser, and he was, please
Real.
don't fire me. No, but if I was, I know a number of people I could text and be like, hey, you know, I just find myself looking. They'd be like, oh my gosh, we would love to have you come collab with us. And not even because I bring anything super unique, except for like my personality and my drive. And they've loved hanging out with me at conferences and like seeing me on podcasts. And they just know that they would love to have me be a part of it in some way. And that's another brand as well. So, you know, we will echo it all day to build your personal brand, build it before you need it, rely on your, and never feel awkward. Like, Meryl, I'm sorry we've never texted before, but I'm looking, would you mind just commenting on my post? Like, absolutely not. Comment for visibility. Wow, she looks awesome. We've been LinkedIn contacts, didn't know. She looks great. I would, if I had a role open, I would take her. You know, we are always happy to funnel you along on your behalf. At least I am. I think all the queens would be.
100%.
Pardon me. I always comment for visibility.
Have open positions right now, you know? So again, LinkedIn, and then go to jobs. Like, so when you go to, you know, LinkedIn or whatever, you can actually look at, you know, everywhere we work and see what open jobs there are, or you can just go to jobs and see if you can, you know, search for our name. But I know for a fact we have a ton on our site. So
yeah. And you know what? Don't just do that. Look at people's journeys. Like me, haven't been in the industry very long, right? Rose through the ranks very quickly. Look at the orgs where I worked, where they gave me a chance when I was like a baby, knew nothing person. Those are the orgs that will like continue to open up entry-level positions. Oftentimes we don't make changes till we're forced to. So, you know, sometimes people who wouldn't have gotten out of sysadmin before are now going to look into more security-oriented roles. So, you know, you can find the orgs there. You can search for them. Don't just apply. Apply and then message a recruiter. Apply and then message an employee. Say, hey, can you help? Can you get eyes on this? How do you think I would look? How do you think I'd fit on the team? Like, do it like a hacker. Don't just do it like everybody else. Do it like I would do it.
Right. There you go.
Start following people in the industry. So if you're not in the industry, you know, you could follow us, and then you could go through our network and start following people. Because what I'm seeing a lot of, and I think it's Naomi Buckwalter, she posted a list of companies that are hiring entry level, and they are true entry level cyber professionals. I think Home Depot was one of them. So with all the layoffs and with everything that's going on, don't be scared to still try to come to this industry, because we still have open jobs. We're going to get through this. This is just something that the industry is going through. And just like Meryl said, mirror where we've been, where we've gone, because there are companies that will give you somebody a true entry level position. You just have to look. It's not going to come to you.
And that was one of the things when I made the leap from Zoom, because I left Zoom, right? You know, FANG-sized big tech company, to come work for my startup. People were like, are you bonkers? And I'm like, I know, right? Seems like I just committed career suicide. But no, I've never been happier. And I tell everybody, like, my company is the golden land. If I could get you in here, I would. But I really well qualified my company first. Everyone was like, what do you know about them? Do you know what their revenue is like? And I'm like, I asked all these questions. I signed NDAs. I wanted to see the runway. I wanted to know if other employees were happy, what the turnover was like. They'd only had like 2 employees ever leave. So these are reinforcing markers you can look for, and you should look for. Like, I know a lot of us are in the boat of we just need a job, any job, but you will be miserable in that job, and you still need to use it as a stepping stone. So do what you can to qualify your org and ask those hard questions and see what kind of answers you get back. That'll land you somewhere you want to be and not just somewhere you have to be.
Right.
All right. Before we move on, we will take some comments. Let's see. What do we got going on? A lot of questions. We've got lots of links. We've got lots of links for links to jobs. A lot of them are government jobs. I'm a government contractor. No hate on them. They're difficult to work for, but if your eyes are wide open, I mean, there's everywhere and anywhere to go. Let's see. Let me ask a question that is outside of the topic a bit. Have you ever heard or seen of any CTF at all in history that gives a $1 million prize for the first place? I haven't. I know Net Wars is big. Like, you can win certain prizes and get certain PR and opportunity, kind of like professional League of Legends players, if you win Net Wars. But I've met those guys in person, and they're fierce. I'm not going up against the Net Wars guys. No, but I've never heard of a CTF bounty that big. Have you guys?
Can you explain what CTF is for people who are listening that don't know?
Yes, sorry. A CTF is called a capture the flag. And what it is it's a closed lab environment hacking competition where obviously there is something intentionally vulnerable built into the environment that you're supposed to find. That is the flag, like a password, a thing hidden in code somewhere. And the first team to find the flag, follow all the clues, find like, and they'll give you a clue like there's a vulnerable printer somewhere. You're like, great. You start doing the situational awareness and looking for all that stuff. And first team to find the flag wins. So
Yeah.
But no, I've never heard of one
They are
that big.
definitely guaranteed. Like my last company, Menlo, did this thing where, if anybody could actually get past, the security tool or whatever, there's $1 million guarantee. And I know that they were going to do some type of capture the flag event. I don't know if I think it did take place. I don't know if I was there for it, but yeah, so there's companies out there that'll do different things and offer different things.
Yeah, I would say if you're really good at CTFs, you might be really good at bug bounty, and certain bug bounty, BBP, and vulnerability disclosure, VDP programs, which are basically the same, will offer pretty high, like $100,000 bounties for certain vulnerabilities. So if you have that skill set, that's always open to you too. And there are a number of folks on Twitter you can follow for tips on getting started there. Stay optimistic, keep applying and networking. It will work out. Yes. Yep. Do we have recommendations? We are giving money.
I have some recommendations. So find not local, but find events, in your area, or if you want to travel, like WESIS, Women in Cybersecurity. They're having a huge yearly convention here in Denver in March. That is basically where you could go and find a job. It's, the Women in Cybersecurity org is amazing. Reach out to your local chapters, ISSA, CTA, which is Colorado, what is it? Technology Association, Cloud Security Alliance. Find some of the, ISACA. Yeah. Find some of those that are in your area and go to the meetings. It's free for some of them. Not all of them are free, but like the WESIS event, if you're a student, you get a discounted rate. If you're in the industry or government, there's like different pricing levels. Go to Black Hat this year, go to RSA this year. We can link all of this later on, but I can't stress how much you should get involved in the community.
Yeah. The community will be there for you to pick you back up, right?
Yeah. And you can make cyber friends. Like Eric and I have never met in person, but I'm pretty sure when I see her, I'm going to like tackle her to the ground and hug her. But like when I go to cons, the number of cyber friends I have goes from like the 5 I had on Twitter to like their 5 and their 5. And I have like 50. And like, it's just much better. So cons are a great place to network yourself. I know they're pricey. You can lobby con, which is called not getting a ticket in, like to attend the conference for like $3,800, but you're still there and you can run into people and you can post that you're there. And like, I love meeting up with people for coffee. So definitely do that.
Usually when I go to Black Hat, I don't pay for the ticket to go into the actual convention. I just hang out around because it's in Vegas every year. So I hang out, walk around, go to all the after parties, and that's where I show up.
Networking hours. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about why we think we see these layoffs happening and how you can spot a good opportunity as a result. I think we're all going to blame the same culprit, but I'm curious to see what you two say and what anyone in the comments says.
So from a salesperson's perspective,
just say it. We have to say it.
I do think there's been a lot of over forecasting to VCs, to Wall Street, because, all these companies are for profit. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Obviously, I work in a position where I have to produce or I get fired. But I think the unrealistic expectations that some of these companies are setting to their, VCs and who's ever investing in their company, and then rolling it down to the sales force, what they roll up and what they roll down to the sales force is actually different because they want to be profitable. They have a plus minus margin that they have to hit. And I think that some of this, just unrealistic expectations is one of the reasons we're in this spot.
Preach.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I kind of think when I think about stuff that's happening in kind of a trend format, if you will, there's a comment in there, right, about inflation. And I mean, it's true, right? There's a lot of inflation right now, which when that happens, it doesn't just hit us, in our little residential kind of homes and everything. It's bigger than that, right? So everybody's got a cost that's going up, right? And I think a few years ago, during a lot of mergers and acquisitions and a lot of, especially in the cyberspace, there were so many companies coming together and purchasing or buying out other ones. And you were trying to either keep or recruit the best talent, right? Like you're like, hey, how do I get this person from over there? Because I want to have like the absolute best team. And we've got all this money right now. And it's
diva
great.
poaching.
Right, exactly. And then now, these people that are getting, 20 to 50% more than they normally would, these are the ones that are like, okay, is it worth it? Or can I kind of like let go of you guys and almost bring in some like, not entry level, but lower salaried employees to do the same job, right? Maybe I can hire 3 people for the price of the one person I was paying before, right? And so there's a lot of mindset that goes into that. I mean, we know this right now, right? I mean, we do a nonprofit, but it's still kind of the same thing, right? When you think about how you have to run a business, it's unfortunate. And I don't know very many CEOs. I know there's like there's a really funny video out there actually from the Corporate Bro that he did about this. But I don't necessarily know any CEOs that are just like loving layoffs, right? Like I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and they're like, oh, I can't wait to lay people off today. Like I just don't foresee that. And so I do think it's a very tough decision to have to make, but at the same time, like it's either that or your company starts to go under, right? So like I get it's just a minus, right, across the board. But I also do think because we have that mindset of like, okay, they're letting go this ridiculous whale of a person that's amazing, blah, blah, blah. But now that might mean that there's chances for other people who will come in, do the same job, try just as hard. And so maybe that's your chance, right? Like I don't know. That's kind of how I think about it. Maybe that's wrong. Tell us in the comments. I'm sure you guys will. But I do see that wherever there is a closing, and this is what I've noticed on LinkedIn, right? Like anytime that there's a bunch of layoffs, suddenly a few weeks later, you see like job openings for the same company. And you're like, wait a second, what's going on here, right? So in my mind, that's kind of, it has to do with it a little bit. So
absolutely, I agree.
That's a good point to make because that can look so backhanded. Like you just laid off 4,000 people and now you're hiring like 200. But you're right. They might be trying to backfill at a lower level. And there's another factor to consider. Those divas might have a better shot getting a job literally anywhere, finding their next opportunity. They might not actually be reliant on those things as like the other people. But also, it can kind of come down to, like she said, budget. Like, I can upskill 5 more people for the salary that I had this one person. And that those 5 people can grow into managers of their own teams. But I am going to cite inorganic growth because I think we did see something we've never seen before during the pandemic. And I think so many people thought they had so much to support. We didn't know what the 2-year landscape would look like. And so a lot of people are realizing they don't need all the features they had planned. They don't need all the engineers to build those features they had planned and marketing people and things like that. In fact, several companies from the same article, like Qualtrics and Verily, cited overhiring during periods of rapid growth. So in my opinion, a way to spot a good opportunity is to ask those crucial questions like I did. I was like, do you have the contract or are you going to hire me and then market yourself? Like now we have the resource. Now you should give us the contract. And they're like, we already have it. And I was like, okay, what's the runway? For how many years do we have it? When are we up for renewal? I asked all these questions to make sure I wasn't going to be looking for a job again shortly after.
Right.
What about you guys? Advice on a good opportunity.
The overhiring is definitely part of that, unrealistic, forecasting. To spot a good opportunity, honestly, what I look at is how the company has grown over the last couple of years. Sometimes you can get that information, sometimes you can't. You can ask it in interviews, but a lot of the times they can't tell you, especially if they're a startup. But look to see like if people are tenured there. It's really hard to say, tenure is a good sign of a good company because salespeople can jump every 2 years. But I would look at the tenure. I would look at the growth. I would look at the, to see if people are happy, use all this stuff on LinkedIn because you could get a lot of information on LinkedIn of current employees. And then read their reports, their annual reports, their, the 10Ks, whatever you can get your access to. I would just look at all the data that you can to see the stability of the company and ask those hard questions.
But Erica, that sounds like a lot of work. Why can't I just apply for everything?
That's too bad. If it's a lot of work to go and research a company, then what are you going to do once you get the job? Sit there and pick your nose? I mean, that you can't do that. You need to research the company and understand their growth strategies, their goals, their objectives, like what they're trying to do. Read the news, the news articles that they post. Look at all that kind of stuff and kind of just begin to see if that's something that you would even be interested in. Don't go for a job just to get a job. I know that's hard to say when you're laid off, or think about when you're laid off, but you don't want to go somewhere and then be out of a job in 6 months. I've been laid off twice in 2 years because I take risks and I go to startups. I have gone to startups. And sometimes you'll realize that it's not something that you did wrong. You just maybe didn't ask the right questions, or you got lied to. I mean, that does happen too. It's hard to spot the lies.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say it's all entirely dependent on your goal too. You know what I mean? So for example, let's say you want to go to a startup because you want a cool title or whatever, and you don't really plan on staying there forever. You just kind of need to step up, right? Maybe longevity of, your role there isn't something that's your goal or focus, right? So I think I'll counter, only because I love you, Erica. I will counter a little bit and say I'm an opportunist, right? So for me, if I were laid off, I wouldn't, I don't know how to explain this in a way that hopefully doesn't come off as terrible to, all the people that follow me. But I just think that depending on your goals, like take the opportunity. If it's there, like maybe like, hey, this isn't going to be a forever thing, but this will give me some pretty good experience. Like this will, based on what I'm seeing on this list of job requirements, or not job requirements, but job duties and day-to-day.
I've done that.
Like maybe, because I've done that before. I've jumped ship and gone somewhere because I was desperate, right? And then I ended up being like, oh my God, no, I just, but like, I just feel like at the end of the day, when you look at it from a different point of view of like, okay, I'm here though, like, so I might as well make the most of it. What can I learn from this job or whatever, this opportunity that I've taken that I can carry out to my goals, right? Like what's my goal and how do I get there? So sometimes, and I teach that to people all the time about, I want to be in cybersecurity, but I want to get paid $200,000 right away. So I'm going to go to college and it's going to get me there. It's like, no, you have to still put in the work. And sometimes you're going to have to do jobs you don't want to do. Sometimes you're going to have to take the lower paying jobs. I've had people who have been in sales, outside of cyber or outside of tech, and they are like, I'm the, best of the best. I'm at the top of my league. Why the hell would I go? Why would I ever go in and start at like an entry level role, like an inside sales role? Well, because you've never done this before, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody has to start somewhere. So I think when we think about this whole layoff thing and, don't just take the first job you see. Some people don't have the luxury of not doing that, right? So I do think that the opportunities that present themselves to you, if you can see yourself there, I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to, do you jive with the team, right? Are you cool with your manager? Does it feel like a place that you'd want to spend 8 to 10 hours a day? At? Like your coworkers, you like your manager. I mean, I actually just told this to my my rep, my friend Nikki, who I work with. We were kind of joking because we were talking about this with one of our clients at lunch the other day, and it's like, I wish that cost aside, I wish we could almost just take every employee or potential employer and they could all just get together and go to like a dinner, right? So you can kind of see like what the team actually is like and not their salesman. I'm this person at the company and I'm
talk, the pitch, the elevator pitch.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting like, this like fake version, but then you get there and you're like, where was this person during the interview process, right? And I just think that whatever you can do, whether you meet up for coffee or whatever, just make sure that at the end of the day, the people that you're working with directly, that's what you should be most concerned about if you're laid off and you're looking for a job right away. If you're looking for longevity and you're sick of going from job to job to job, then yes, absolutely do, go through and research the company and do all the cool stuff that both of you gals do, right? I can tell you right now, I just recently, before I went to GuidePoint, that's kind of when I started looking at like, okay, let's like really dive into this though, right? So I don't just keep like going from place to place. But again, that's because that was my goal, right? Is to find somewhere that I can stay and not somewhere that it's just a stepping stone. So again, entirely dependent on your goals, but definitely make sure that no matter which side of that you're on, make sure you like your team and you understand like the actual working day-to-day vibe that you're going to get.
I've done that. I've done the, take a job to get somewhere else. And it's actually gotten me where I'm at today. So like that you could do. It depends on.
I say do both. So I say if you have to take the first job in front of you, do it intelligently, do it with an exit strategy, do it with like, I'm going to come in like, okay, I need this job and I hate you, but I need to learn cloud architecting. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn it really, really well. And then in 6 months, I'm going to have a new cloud architect job, exit strategy, or do both. Take the job you have to, take the first thing you can get to pay your bills, we're all single moms, take care of your family, but then simultaneously start getting active, start building your network so that you can say, hey, I've been in my role for 8 months. I am looking for a jazzier project. What do you got? And then it's not from a place of desperation. It's from a place of like acquisition. So I think there's an intelligent way to do both. And we're not saying whatever you pick is wrong. Only you know your situation. If we can help or offer advice, we're certainly willing to do that. Okay. We got to get to final takeaways. We got to wrap this up. These people got stuff to do. So final takeaways on either the layoff situation, the hiring landscape, getting hired. Please still come work in tech. We still need you. Whatever it is you want to leave them with, go for it. Erica, we'll hit you first.
My final takeaways are don't give up. Again, please still come to this industry. If you need help interviewing, find people that you can mock interview with. If you need advice, reach out to any of us. I'd be happy to point you in a direction. I'm not saying I can help everybody, but if you're in sales and you're looking for your next sales job, I'd be happy to have some conversations with you about how I strategized and what I did. And it does depend on your situation. If you have to take a job to take it, do that. If you're trying to take stay somewhere for longevity, do that. My personal situation is that I didn't want to get laid off or quit again. In 2 years, I've been laid off. In the last 2 years, I've been laid off twice. So I don't want to go through that again, but happy to help anybody. Please keep up the search. You will find a job here. Things will even out eventually. And we're here for you to help anytime.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Erica, for stealing most of mine. No, but I was just I'm just going to echo a little bit of what she said, right? So reach out to any of us. I think we should do one of these podcasts and kind of talk about, maybe how to get through the interview process, right? So maybe here's how we recommend helping with resumes, and here's what we recommend for this. And like somebody just commented, right? Just don't be that person that, spams people's inbox and is like, hire me. Agree. 500% agree. Start that now. I think a good thing today is really just reach out to some of your contacts. You know what I mean? Just really get out there. I think, I don't know, just at the end of the day, don't give up, and also don't be afraid. Like, fear is going to be the worst thing ever, right? Because that creates desperation. But at the same time, also know when it's not necessarily desperation to take a job that maybe isn't your dream job now, because this will pass. This whole thing that we're going through right now, the whole industry, it's going to be different. I think in maybe next year, maybe 2 years, right? It's going to be right back up to where it was, right? So just do what you got to do to get by, especially for all the single moms out there. And at the same time, just stick with it, because it's not going to do this forever. This is not forever. Right. So just keep that in mind.
And the single dads, I would add that.
Yeah, and the single dads.
Sorry. Single parents, married parents, whatever it is, just don't give up all of your your hope through this process.
Yes. I agree. Don't give up. I'm still an advocate that this was the career field that completely changed not just my ability to provide for my family, but it changed my life. It changed my confidence, my outlook, like all the things that you know and see today, all attributed to the cyber industry. I'm just going to say that, please, again, like Amber said, don't be afraid to apply. We are still experiencing a lot of breaches. Security is still a relevant and needed function. In fact, we're talking about breaches next week. It's going to be even jazzier. Just to let you know that the best reinforcing marker would be to talk to someone who works there, maybe someone else who works in a different or adjacent department. Just say, what are you seeing? Is it really hard to get security initiatives off the ground? Do you like working there? And, again, if you have to use it as a short term, do that. Please feel free to lean on people who have interviewed at those orgs or who have been in those positions, or what should I be looking for? We're happy to tell you, but help us help you. We get a lot of these. So when you're like, hi, this is my resume, what do I qualify for at your job? I don't have time to go through all the openings at my company or whatever company and align that. Just say, hey, according to these asks, I have these capabilities. Do you think I stand a good chance, or how do I make myself look better for that role? That's much easier for us to help you with than us helping do your job search for you. If you need that kind of help, my friend Jason Blanchard, Banjo Crashland. I'm sorry, Jason, Banjo Crashland. He has a great Twitch that he's retired now, but he has so many hundreds of hours of great advice on the job hunt. We have so many people who are willing to help you, who will do resume reviews. I'm really good at LinkedIn profile reviews. So we are happy to do that for you at any time, to do anything we can to help. And we certainly hope to see you all out there. Any last words? You look like you have.
I want to address one comment. Somebody asked a question: how do I apply for cybersecurity jobs if my email got hacked? Start a new email.
Get a new email.
I'm sorry. Start a new email. And we will do live Q&A. Somebody asked that if we would do a live Q&A eventually. We can do that eventually, but not today.
Make sure you also do open to work on your LinkedIn. Like,
yeah, super
right
simple.
That right there
Open
will already have the floodgates open. So
yeah. And again, just post anything. And the more our friends comment, the more we'll see it. We'll comment, our friends will see it. The easiest way to build your network is to take someone else's network and make it your network. I'll say it till the cows come home. All right. Well, we are coming to the end of our episode. We are at 40 minutes, which is way longer than we usually go. We want to thank you so much for coming to hang out with us this morning. We know this is a difficult topic for everybody. Our hearts do go out to you all. And we hope to see you all in super fulfilling jobs very soon. We'll do what we can. If you like the content today, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. It's absolutely free, and it's the #1 thing you can do to help us. If you didn't, come at us in the comments. I'm looking for a fight today. No, I'm kidding. Please.
awesome.
You can also subscribe to our newsletter at the cyberqueenspodcast.com. And we do release things there a little earlier than we do release them to everybody else. So you can kind of be in the know first. And with that, thank you so much. We the Queens love you. And we will see you next week.
Yes.
See you next week.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, we did the bye correctly for once. That's it. We're done. We're out.